Healthpreneurs, what's up? Yuri here with our amazing coaches. I've got Jackie, Steph in the black box this morning, and Amy with us as well. So if you're watching this inside of our group, obviously you can see this. If you're listening to this on the Healthpreneur Podcast, then you can't see this, so you can just enjoy the audio. But today's topic, we're going to be talking about something that I think is really, I think all these topics are really important. This one's a big one, this whole notion that comfort is the enemy of growth. I don't know when this hit me, maybe last week or the week before, but I was thinking about this, and I'm like, you know what? I think this applies to pretty much all areas of life. So I'm really excited to jump in with you guys today because, I mean, you guys are on the phone with a lot of our clients every single week, and you see the roadblocks and the obstacles and the challenges they're up against. And this process of building a business is not easy, right? It doesn't feel good all the time. And I want to give our listeners and our viewers some perspective today about this whole topic, because I think it's important to really understand and be okay with. Anyways, so apparently my printer just started printing, so if there's some weird noise in the background, that's what's going on. Anyways, so how's it going, guys? You guys good?
Awesome.
Yeah. Cool. Jackie, do you want to... Okay, so I want to give a bit of perspective here before I ask you, Jackie. So last night I was watching the Avengers Infinity War, and I'm thinking, like, I think one of the reasons why so many people love movies is because there's always this element of courage that these, main characters have, right? They have to, like, fly across space to stop this evil person, and every single protagonist in a movie has that level of courage where they're this reluctant hero. They're called to something bigger than themselves. They go up against all odds, and in spite of failures in the past, they keep pushing. And it's just the way we, I think we connect with people in terms of quote unquote heroes. So how do you take, Jackie? How do you see clients that we work with, or pretty much like everyday people, as their own version of these types of superheroes, as it pertains to kind of like going out of their comfort zone and chasing these things that are maybe a little bit unfamiliar or beyond what they think is possible?
Yeah, I like that idea of being your own hero, right? As healthpreneurs, entrepreneurs, I tell a lot of our clients, if you're going to be working with us, you have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. It's just part of it. And actually, that's where I thrive. Like, I love being uncomfortable. I love being challenged because my perspective and my mindset around it is growth. Like, if you're not growing, you're dying. Like, look at the cells in our body. Like, from the second we're born, that's just what's happening. It's inevitable. And being comfortable with being uncomfortable kind of just gives you that, I can handle this, right? Superheroes don't stop and freak out and get stuck in their fear or their thoughts and like, oh, should I jump off this bridge to save that lady? No, maybe I should do this instead. Like, they just do it, right? So the cool thing is you have our community, you have our support. So being uncomfortable is healthy. That means you're about ready to take a leap in growth as well. But you have to embrace it and have the mindset around it, be excited about it. It's a choice. Like, you can be fearful, which is fake. It's all made up. Fear isn't real. That's usually what stops us. Or you can stay comfortable in being comfortable, and that leads to laziness and boredom. And as healthpreneurs, we don't go there. We just don't. It's not in our DNA, right? So, and this is a new concept to you. That's all I can really tell you is it's a part of the mindset shift. It's growth and getting out of this archaic box. Like, we only know what's inside this box, right? And we're comfortable there. Mm-hmm. Everything outside of this box is scary and creepy and weird, and I don't think I can do it. And all this like self-doubt and fear sets in again, and we jump back into our box. Well, the archaic brain, that's not really what we need for survival this day and age. And I'm sure Stephanie can even go on this a little bit deeper, but it doesn't serve us because it's not scary. It's actually what we need to survive and to grow and develop and to make an impact and to share our gifts.
So just to give our listeners and our viewers some perspective, like you've gone skydiving a few times, right?
Yes, twice.
Right. So
I wish I could have gone more.
You've gone skydiving a few times. You've traveled all around the world, doing some pretty adventurous type of stuff. You've had 2 kids. I think these are all things that, like, before you've done them, you haven't done them, right?
Correct.
Like, how do you feel when or I guess you didn't push yourself out of the plane, but you were strapped to some instructor. Like, how did that feel before, like you're in the plane, the door opens, then you're out of the plane. Like, what was that moment like? What did that feel like for you?
It's a rush, right? You're prepared though. You're on the ground. You're going through the safety. You're understanding that if we bonk heads with the guy I'm jumping with who's done 16,000 jumps and we both get knocked out, blackout cold, there's going to be a chute that opens, 500, 700 feet before we hit the ground. We're going to break our legs? Possibly. So there's a lot of things that could happen, but you're preparing yourself, right? We're using the tools. We're using what we know. I'm listening to an expert. I'm not jumping out of the plane by myself because I trust the expert, right? That's like utilizing us as your coaches, utilizing the whole program from start to finish, taking action. I couldn't have jumped out of a plane if I didn't put on the straps, be tied tight to this guy, walking to the edge, literally ready to roll out, right? You're just staring at the ground, which is it's such a good rut. I love it. Like, I wish I could do it every day, to be honest.
Did the second time feel more comfortable than the first time?
Oh, the second time was a breeze. I was excited both times, but there was fear the first time. I'm looking out and I'm like, oh my God, why am I jumping out of a perfectly good airplane? Because I wanted to do it, right? And the day before I went, the very first time I was 18, because that was the law in Ohio. And the day that I was going to jump, I was prepared, we were ready to go. There was clouds in the sky, and legally you're not supposed to jump through clouds. So we're sitting there waiting for the clouds to go away, and they didn't. So we're like, man, bummer. Maybe I'm not supposed to jump. Maybe this was my day that something bad would have happened, right? No, I went back the next day, which was Mother's Day because my birthday is in May, and I jumped out of the plane on Mother's Day. Something happened at a local jump pad nearby that day that was a bad situation, and of course my whole family freaks out and like, oh my God, was that your plane? No, thank God it wasn't. Yeah. But I wanted to do this. I wasn't going to let it stop me. I wasn't going to let fear stop me. I wasn't going to let my comfort zone stop me, right? And I went and did it, and it was a blast. And I did it again, and I would do it again in a heartbeat.
That's awesome.
And yes, you get more comfortable every time you do it. Maybe one day I'll do it by myself. That takes a whole nother training, but we'll see.
I don't know if I ever told you, I almost flew into a whole flock. I don't know if flock is the right word, but a whole troop of paratroopers. When I was getting my pilot's license, I wasn't like that close, but I was like on routes and I saw these like things dropping out of a plane. I'm like, I don't think I should be heading this direction. So that was fun. Anyways, Steph, I want to ask you, talking about fear, like how do you see fear versus discomfort? Like, is there a difference, like being uncomfortable versus being in fear?
I love that question because there is such a huge difference between these two things. So fear is something that is a negative response, and this is something that's kind of like beyond the scope of this session today, but we can get anchored, negative emotions anchored to different things. So then we'll get triggered every single time when we do that thing. However, if we feel discomfort that is coupled with this idea of purpose, passion, mission, and I know if you're listening to this right now, then that means that you have a big purpose, you have a big passion, you have a big mission to help others really live the life they truly love, get healthy, and live full lives. And if you can use that as the catalyst that pushes you forward through the discomfort, then you can feel empowered on the other side and have major confidence on the other side rather than feeling that fear still. And then every single time you do that action, like let's just use Facebook Live as an example, because a lot of people have fear around stepping out into Facebook Live and kind of talking about what it is that they're doing, what they're putting out into the world. You can then get anchored that every single time you do a Facebook Live, you're freaking out and your cortisol levels are super high and your stress hormones are all going crazy. But if you couple it with that idea of the purpose, passion, and mission of why you started this in the first place, and this goes with whether it's recording your webinar, whether it's, making your price points or presenting your price points to people really confidently, knowing that what you're providing is a really high caliber service that will change people's lives, which it will. I know it will, because I've talked to many of you guys before. Then you can all of a sudden become empowered on the other side. So you will feel discomfort. And I know a lot of you guys are in the fitness field, right? A lot of you guys are in health and wellness and fitness. And if you can just think about a muscle, you have to stress the muscle in order for it to grow bigger, thicker, stronger. And that's exactly the way you are. That's how your neurology is the more and more and more you pump it, the bigger, thicker, stronger it becomes. Yeah. And if you can just choose, we always have two paths. One is like doom, gloom, whatever is going to go wrong. And what is ooh, wait, this is my purpose, passion, mission, and what can go right. And we constantly have this choice of whether we're going to go down that black hole of doom and despair, or whether we're going to go down this path of light and love and prosperity and abundance and all of these amazing things that can happen on the other side.
And it's
right?
always a choice, right? It's always just a decision. Yeah. And I mean, we all of us get caught in this. I mean, I get caught in fear sometimes. But when you recognize what's happening, it's like, okay, I'm choosing to think these thoughts. Why is that? Like, why am I choosing to think fearful thoughts? And I think fear, like as you mentioned, is really it's not something that's happened. It's something we're projecting that possibly could happen in the future. So why are we choosing to spend time consciously? We're aware of it, yet we're still stuck there. And I don't know if you have an answer to this stuff, but I think from my kind of journey, what I've recognized is it gives us a sense of control. We can, like, even though it's a shitty feeling, we control the fact that we have a feeling about that. And it doesn't make sense at all, but it's like, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know why. It's almost comfortable to feel like we're in control of fearful thoughts versus trying to not do that.
Right. Yeah. And you've actually mentioned this, and Jackie just mentioned this, but this is all part of our archaic ancestor brain that was trained to focus on the negative to keep us alive and safe. And the fact of the matter is that right now, lions, tigers, bears, and, feast and famine they're not even anything that we have to worry about anymore. So that's why our brain will then choose other things as the lion, as the tiger, as the bear. So it could be, oh my gosh, this webinar, or it could be all of a sudden your brain starts to think, my clientele doesn't hang out on Facebook or any of these things. Like, they're not going to like what I'm putting out there, or nobody's going to want to pay this price point, or whatever. And then that is why you can say, I'm going to stop. I'm going to quit. I'm going to stay in my comfort zone because X, Y, and Z are possible and going to happen. But really, you do not have a crystal ball. You cannot predict these things. It's not real. And you have a proven system and a proven path to take. So it's just important to focus on that part rather than all of these things that your mind can create. And we often will go to the worst case scenario. It's just in our DNA. Yeah. And again, it's just that archaic brain. And if we can just remember that and just keep going, oh, there's my brain again, and just kind of acknowledge the feeling and say, oh, when I feel this feeling, it's actually a little red flag that something is off in my mindset. Instead of letting it suck you down into the hole, feel the feeling and go, oh, what is that? Is it that I'm scared? Is it that is this? Do I need to make an appointment with Steph, Jackie, or Amy to kind of clear this up? What is it that I need to do right now to clear this up? Because I know this isn't real.
Yeah, totally. It's I don't know if there's any humans that are born with the upbringing where we're conditioned with like there's no fear. So I think we're all dealing with this in some way, shape, or form. One of the things that I sent out in Monday's email was this 19-year-old tennis player who just made the finals in Toronto. Just unbelievable run. He beat like 4 top 10 players, lost to Rafa Nadal in the final. In his semifinal, after his semifinal win, he wrote on the camera, "It never gets easier, you just get better." And I'm like, dude, this is a 19-year-old kid. Yeah. This amazing perspective, right? And I started to think, you kind of use the analogy of strengthening your muscles. And the way I see this is that we get better at all things in life, right? And 50 pounds is always 50 pounds. So if you lift up 50 pounds today, objectively that 50 pounds is always going to be 50 pounds on planet Earth. But 50 pounds today might feel heavy to you. 50 pounds a year from now might feel like a pencil to you. And the only difference is how much you've grown in the process. So if you think of, like, for all of you guys, like all you fitness folks out there, if you think about that and you think about, okay, I'm feeling really uncomfortable right now because I don't know how to speak to people on the phone. I don't know how to do this webinar. That is completely fine. That is, you should feel like that if you've never done it. If you came into it mastering it already, it would be a different feeling. But and this is what I keep telling you guys, for all of you guys watching and listening, is that where you are going to be a year from now, like, I can see your future. I feel like I'm a genie in a bottle. I can see your future, guys. Because, great example, Nick Holtz, who posted his critical numbers in the group, a little bit worried about some of his stuff. And I'm like, hold on. Let me break this down. You spent under $800. You had 8 calls booked, which is freaking phenomenal.
Phenomenal.
Like that's unbelievable, right? It doesn't matter how many people register for the webinar. Like, sure, certain things can be improved, but 8 booked calls for that ad spend is incredible. And he enrolled 1 person. And I sent kind of some feedback on his call and stuff because he had posted the recording. And I said, okay, here's the good news. The good news is that you got 1 out of 8 enrollments, right? The good news is like there's still a lot of room for improvement in how you speak with people on the phone. So in the future, that 1 turns into 3 or 4 out of potentially 8 or more. And this is just the process, guys. It's the process of like you continually sharpen the saw. You're continually getting better and better and better. And what used to feel uncomfortable now becomes very comfortable. And what you'll find, and this is one of the things that I noticed for myself right at, like when I started doing a lot of calls, is my confidence in how I handled difficult conversations with potential clients became very matter of fact. Like there was no like, oh, wishy-washiness. It was very certain, very confident. And I think that just comes with practice, right? So it starts off feeling shitty, ends up being a lot more comfortable. And yeah, I mean, Amy, you're speaking with quite a few people on a weekly basis. Like what comes up for you in this conversation pertaining to like comfort and growth and all that?
Really, it's so great to be able to piggyback on all of you because all the different perspectives are amazing. And really, what's coming up a lot is the worry and wonder. So again, it's not real. It's what I'm worrying and wondering, like, are people going to respond? And really, it's flipping that mindset and saying, okay, what can I do right now? So, and reframing your feelings. So like Stephanie talked about, like, you're getting these, you can anchor something negatively and maybe you're looking at that as fear, but instead of feeling that heart flutter feeling as fear and I have to stop, what if you took that heart flutter feeling and said, this is excitement about my future and how many people I can help. So I'm really scared to do my webinar, but actually I'm really excited to do my webinar because I'm going to grow. And I know from, just the last several months and working with the team, both as a client and a team member, the growth is exponential if you allow it to happen. So if you're feeling that sort of not quite right, there is something out of alignment energetically. And whatever you believe in, when you're not aligned with your true purpose or what you should be doing and you're staying over here in fear and not doing, you will feel worse because you're not helping people, starting with you, right? You're not helping yourself. And we have to make ourselves a priority because everything we're doing here in Healthpreneur is a model for how all of us are running our businesses, right? So if we got on the phone with you guys in our initial calls, and how many of you were scared when you got on with us or when you took the credit card out? And if we just said, oh yeah, think about it till tomorrow. Oh, we'll talk to you next week. Guess what? We're not doing our job. So reframe that fear as excitement because that worry and wonder is a time waster. So now you're worrying and wondering, and you're not getting your stuff done. So what I'm seeing though is as we work through that on the call, people are getting off the call excited, and there are people that have actually done a webinar and then been like, oh my gosh, my perfect client is something different, and they're revamping the webinar and saying, this is so much easier because I've already done it. Yeah, it's totally, I did that myself, and I was like, wow, it's not going to take me all these weeks. It took me, a day to redo it, and so that's the thing that I'm seeing the worry and wonder, but then the excitement about, wait, I don't have to wonder because why? You've laid it all out so simply that no one has to worry and wonder because you've taken care of that piece for folks. So now it's all up to each of us. And there were 2 other things that came to mind. Mark Twain, I don't have the exact quote, but he said something like, I've lived through a lot of bad situations, some of which really happened.
I love
right? So that's a great one. I love
so
that
true.
one. So true.
We spend so much
true.
time up here. I actually had an idea for the name of this. I had an idea for the name of these sessions. Have you ever seen the Zach Galifianakis show Between Two Ferns?
No.
Or heard of it?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it.
Okay, so I was thinking of calling this
He's
Between
hilarious,
Two Ears.
Oh yeah.
That's a good one.
A little play on that, but
that's
not a final
awesome.
title, but we'll just, we'll play with that.
Well, and that's what happens for us. So, I don't know if you guys remember, I think it was last year, but time is time, and I don't remember. Somebody climbed El Capitan, right? He did the face in Yellowstone, I believe it is. And it's like you're on this face, and it comes out like this. And he climbed the thing, right? You can't like decide in the middle you're not doing this anymore. Yeah. So he went, and when he was interviewed, and someone said, what was the hardest part? And guess what he said? Walking up and taking that first step. Yeah. So really, that's what it is. Take that action and reframe it as excitement, because it's so exciting when you do that. And then get out of your head.
So talking about kind of changing your perfect clients and not having to have everything perfect, kind of what we talked about, the other week.
Yeah.
I'll be very honest with you guys. Like, this is a process that I've gone through as well. Like, even to this day. So our Luminaries Mastermind started 2 years ago, and initially it was like I started it because people were asking me for coaching, and I didn't want to do one-on-one coaching. So I said, all right, I'm gonna piece together a few people. And the first year we had, I think, half a dozen. Then we had about 20. And what happened over the last year was, because I was a little bit too porous in terms of allowing a little bit too much in, if you will, I had to part ways with a few members, because what I recognized was they were not the perfect clients that I wanted. It wasn't that I wanted, it was that who could I best serve? And I recognized that some people may have been a little bit too early. Some people were just not the right mindset. And I mean, to this day, I'm still refining this, and I think I've become a lot more black and white with who I'm going to let into the group. And I think it's been helpful having this workshop as a starting point, as a launch pad for a lot of future members. But guys, like, it's 2 years later, and I didn't use that to not build out the mastermind.
Right.
It's like, it doesn't matter if your first webinar is, whatever it is, or your first coaching group is with certain clients. Because what you're going to recognize is you're going to, in the trenches, in the working with these people, you'll be like, you know what? I can't stand spending time with these people. Or I love working with these people.
Yes.
And you have to be in it to understand that. Like, you can't forecast that initially with the degree of conclusiveness that you would if you were working with them in person. So don't worry about getting everything just perfect before you can get the right people. You're going to run your thing. You're going to figure out, okay, maybe these are the right people. Maybe I like these qualities and not so much these qualities. So I'm going to refine my messaging in my calls and in my Facebook ads. And this is part of the process. And it's just like this slow chipping away at a piece of marble that eventually gives you that finished David, right? So yeah, again, it's going back to what we talked about last week. It's not about being perfect. It's about moving forward. Today's topic is all about understanding that the only way you can grow is when you're uncomfortable, right? If you're in the gym training and you're not uncomfortable, you're not growing. If you're not stressing those muscles to the point where they feel tired or whatever, those muscles are not growing. And if you think of building muscle, the building of muscle is actually not building of muscle in the gym. It's tearing down of the muscle tissue that repairs during sleep. So if we think about it in our lives, in our business, it's like, you're tearing down walls, you're tearing down fears, you're tearing down limiting beliefs, or you're working through discomfort. And these are all things that we have to kind of break down, because on the flip side, it builds you back up to become stronger and stronger and a bigger, better version of yourself. And that's what this is all about, is that, as we've talked about loosely over the last couple sessions, is courage is so important. Like we talked to, like, all of the people we speak to on the phone, we said, listen, one of the most important things we look for is courage, because building a business is, I mean, at some point it becomes pretty enjoyable, but initially it's I mean, our goal is not to make it uncomfortable for you guys forever. But I don't know if you guys know Ed Milet, or have heard of Ed Milet. He's just came across this stuff about a month ago. He's really, really awesome. He's got a great show on YouTube, and a super successful guy. But he talked about the first 5 years in his business as the worst. Like, it was like every day he was thinking, and I'm sure a lot of you guys can relate to this. Do I really want to do this? Is this really what I should be doing? What if this doesn't work out? Should I just quit and do something else? Like this is the mind frick that's happening all the time for quite some time until you start seeing the results you want to see. And you have to understand that that is not your higher self speaking to you. That is that little fear, that little voice trying to keep you safe, as Steph has talked to, that archaic brain that is looking for danger and is saying, okay, this feeling you're feeling is not safe. It's not comfortable. We want to keep you safe. Therefore, just lay on the couch and watch whatever it is you want to watch. And I think it's important to recognize that, because to create and accomplish anything great in life requires getting uncomfortable. And that's the bottom line, guys. That is bottom line. The only reason I'm here, the only reason any of us are here, and the only reason any of you guys are in this program is because at some point you were uncomfortable with your current situation. You were uncomfortable enough to move forward in spite of fear, which is terrific. And you've done it once. You've done it several times in your life, and just use those as reference points to keep moving forward. So I think this has been a really awesome conversation. I mean, we can keep going.
Hey, Yuri.
Yeah, Jackie.
I just want to chime in one thing.
Yeah.
And it's consistently, you're not just going to be uncomfortable today or once tomorrow. You can't just go lift that 50 pounds today and be like, oh man, that was hard to lift, and wait a month or 2 or 3 and lift that 50 pounds again. Because guess what? It's going to feel just as uncomfortable. And then you're going to look back a year ago and be like, damn it, why didn't I just lift that 50 pounds every 2 or 3 days, right? Consistently, to get used to that comfort so you can grow and develop, because it's not just going to happen once. You're a healthpreneur. Yeah. This is going to be part of your lifestyle. You're going to have to learn to shift that mindset, because your head will talk you into or out of what you know you should be doing or shouldn't be doing. Mm-hmm. So that's a whole nother concept, a whole nother probably topic we could talk about, but it will talk you into or out of. And Absolutely. We're here to keep you on track. You know, you have a whole tribe, you have tools, you have a proven system. Like, it's not like you're alone, like trying to wing this. That's the cool thing. Yeah. You just have to do it consistently.
Totally.
And Jackie, I think it's so important for people to jump in, because honestly, as entrepreneurs, healthpreneurs, you can feel alone in your regular life. So make sure that you do connect with the people that in your life that are not entrepreneurs in a way that works for you to keep those relationships strong. It's super important. And then jump in the group with us. We get it. We've all been there. Like, we didn't all wake up one day or were born having confidence and being able to push through these things. I mean, for me, I'm not having a 9-to-5. Like, that's just, I don't care what's going on. That's for me, right? Yeah. So you have to find for you, like, what is it? But make sure that you show up in the group so you can connect with people who get it, because we get that a lot of people in your life don't get it. And that's okay. So just jump in here and keep going, because we're here for you 100%. Make your appointments, and you've got to be there for yourself 100%. So awesome.
That's why entrepreneurship is the best spiritual journey you can be on. You learn so, other than having kids, you learn so much about your own shit, and you have to grow. It's a lot easier, guys, to work 9 to 5 and punch in and punch out, right? Do the minimum. But when you do that, you live a life of mediocrity. You're a sheep. Yeah. Right? Mm-hmm. And we're not sheep. We're the master, we're the leaders, the herd, whatever, the leaders of our tribes. And it requires a lot to step up as a leader. You're taking on the risk. You're taking on the discomfort that a lot of people are not willing to take on. And that is the role you've decided to take on, as not even just being part of this program, but just who you are as a person and stepping up into your greatness. That's just the way it is. So understand that for the rest of your life, it's never going to stop. Okay, it's never going to get. There's never going to be the time where, like, finally I can just watch the sunset. And I'm just referring to this from Infinity War Avengers, like this Thanos guy. I'm not going to ruin the movie, but he like destroys the universe. So
don't tell the end. Don't tell the end.
I'm like, really? Like, that's the purpose of this whole thing. So understand that there's the whole illusion, at least for me, and this probably pertains to a lot of you guys who are real true entrepreneurs, is the illusion of retirement at 65 and laying on the beach is BS. It may be for some people if they have enough money in savings, instead of bagging groceries when they're 70. But the key is you have to understand that for a lot of us, the way we're wired is of service and growth. And if you're wired to serve and grow, you can never stop. Never. Like if I'm 85 years old, I don't know if I'll be doing exactly this, but in some way, shape, or form, I will continually be serving others and continually growing. That's just the way I am. That's the way a lot of us are. And so you have to be okay with that. That's the path you've decided to be on in this life. And there's never going to be the time where like everything just stops. There will be days where you can chill out and lay on the couch and take a vacation. But I think we are here because we are here to be of service to others. We are here to grow. And the more you grow, and here's the big thing I want to finish with, is the more you grow, the more you can give to others. And if you want to make a lot more money, you have to do a lot more growing. If you want to be the best possible healer, provider, teacher, coach for others, you have to grow 10 times more yourself in order to give more to others. So guys, this has been awesome. Thank you so much, Amy, Jackie, Steph. For all of you listening on the podcast, if you're currently not one of our clients, here's what I want you to do. If you're enjoying this conversation, first and foremost, subscribe to the podcast. Second is if you do want to work with us and you want us to help you build out your perfect client pipeline and really help you start attracting and enrolling clients so that you can serve them at a deep level, then here's what I want you to do is attend our free training over at healthpreneurgroup.com/training. Go through the training, go through the presentation. If you like what you hear and see, book a call with us. And the reason I'm suggesting you watch the webinar first instead of booking a call with us directly is because you need to have some context of our philosophy of approaching business. And if you don't like it, don't talk to us. But if you like what we're doing and it jives with you, then book a call with us. Because just like in your business, you don't want to work with people who don't want to work with you. We only want to attract the right people who get it and who really value what it is that we're building and how we can help you in your business. So healthpreneurgroup.com/training. And Jackie, Amy, Steph, thank you guys so much once again for your insights. This has been awesome. And guys, if you're watching this in the group, post your comments below. Let us know what you think. All right, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.